What's up, bro? What's up? What's up, bro?
No. The first wish would be I would put a down payment on a condo in heaven. Second wish, I would wish that everybody is healthy and happy. And the third wish, I'd say, give me the first one back.
You're cold, you get soaking wet, you wonder where you're gonna sleep from night to night, you wonder if you're gonna make enough.
In recent months, a viral online movement, part satire, part serious proposal, has been making the rounds. The idea that Canada should officially become part of the United States. What began as internet humor soon caught the attention of political commentators, meme creators, and even a few American pundits who saw Canada's wealth of natural resources and political stability as perfect reasons for a merger. But for many Canadians, the idea stirred more than laughter. It sparked an uneasy reflection on national identity and the importance of staying distinct from their southern neighbor. While America's political climate grows increasingly divided, chaotic, and crisis-ridden, Canada has long taken pride in its moderation, civility, and social safety net. Yet beneath that calm exterior, a troubling reality is unfolding, one that mirrors the darker side of America, homelessness. It's an irony that's difficult to overlook. As Canadians celebrate their independence from the chaos below the border, the streets of Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal are beginning to resemble the very cities they once hoped never to imitate. Tents, addiction, mental illness, displacement. These are not just local issues anymore. They're part of a wider storm sweeping across North America. Can we still call Canada a safe and stable country when more people are pitching tents on city sidewalks than ever before? For generations, the world has seen Canada as a land of calm, snowy landscapes, polite politics, and universal health care. Canadians themselves have often taken pride in being the quiet, steady neighbors to America's loud chaos. Yet in recent years, that image has started to crumble, and nothing has exposed the cracks more than the rapid rise of homelessness across the nation.
It sucks. It's getting colder and colder, and they keep moving us around. Like, where did they expect us to go? Like, we have totally nowhere to go. Every spot that we have to camp, they come and kick us out. Like, wow, I don't know. I don't know what to do. Like, I'm laying here out behind a Bissell right now because they just kicked us out from behind the white church. Like,
in 2023, an estimated 235,000 Canadians experienced homelessness at some point during the year, nearly 1 inch every 150 people. On any given night, more than 35,000 individuals are without stable shelter. These aren't just statistics. They're families sleeping in their cars in Nova Scotia, seniors curled up on benches in downtown Vancouver, and young people finding warmth in 24-hour coffee shops across Calgary. It's a full-scale humanitarian crisis that for far too long has been treated as background noise. The COVID-19 pandemic turned what was once a slow-moving problem into a full-blown emergency. Job losses, soaring rents, and collapsing mental health services all collided, pushing thousands more into homelessness. Temporary lifelines like eviction bans and federal income relief only delayed the inevitable. When those supports disappeared, the fall came fast, and Canada wasn't ready. What's most alarming is how visible this crisis has become. In Toronto and Ottawa, tent encampments now stretch across public parks like scars. In Vancouver's downtown east side, entire sidewalks are crowded with makeshift shelters, shopping carts, and the unmistakable signs of untreated addiction and trauma. Even smaller towns, Kelowna, Barrie, and others, are now witnessing scenes that once felt unimaginable in their community. So, what happened? There's no single answer, but one truth is undeniable. Homelessness is no longer confined to society's margins. The new face of Canadian homelessness includes working parents, students, immigrants, single mothers, and even full-time employees priced out of housing markets gone wild. It mirrors what we've long recognized as homeless in America, only this time it's happening here under the maple leaf. Some still say, at least we're not as bad as the US, but that line is starting to sound dangerously hollow. If success simply means being one step behind a national catastrophe, then what does that really say about where we're going? Personally, as someone who's traveled across Canada, I'm stunned. 10 years ago, you'd hardly ever see a tent downtown in Montreal. Today, they're part of the city's everyday landscape.
My future is by the grace of God. That's where it is. That's how I live. I mean, I live by a series of small miracles. I don't expect one big one like the lottery. I just live. And you know what? It works.
Canada is navigating rough political waters, and those waves are crashing straight into the country's fragile housing system. In early 2025, a US-led trade war, complete with 25% tariffs on Canadian imports, rattled investor confidence, leading analysts to predict a 2% drop in home prices by year's end. Though the Bank of Canada's decision to lower interest rates softened the impact, the episode laid bare just how tightly Canada's housing market is tied to its southern neighbors' economic moves. At the same time, the federal government quietly introduced new immigration caps. Between January and April, population growth slowed sharply, rising by only about 20,000 people. The policy aimed to ease pressure on the rental market, but many economists argue it's a short-term fix for a long-term problem. Without more housing supply, the math doesn't change. 1 in 3 renters already faces unaffordable housing costs, and fears of eviction continue to rise. Can slowing immigration really solve a structural shortage? That's a story still being written, and Canadians are waiting to see if action will follow words. The April 2025 federal election pushed housing and homelessness to the forefront of national debate. Every major party, Liberal, Conservative, NDP, and Green, promised new protections for renters, eviction safeguards, and deeper investments in affordability. Yet public faith remains weak. Nearly 2/3 of Canadians say no level of government is doing enough. Too often, it feels like leaders talk about change, but only deliver crumbs. Meanwhile, political unity is splintering. Western provinces such as Alberta are reviving separatist talk fueled by frustration over federal climate policies and Ottawa's economic grip. These regional divides make nationwide housing reform hard to achieve, especially when federal initiatives are seen as favoring one part of the country over another. Still, Canada has tried to act. The Affordable Housing and Groceries Act removed GST on new rental construction through 2030, a move expected to spur billions in private investment. In British Columbia, Premier David Ebby's government introduced sweeping zoning reforms, ending single-family only restrictions and encouraging higher density, transit-oriented development. But meaningful results will take years, and Canada's housing affordability gap remains one of the deepest in the developed world. So what will it take for real progress? Can Canada finally build the kind of federal-provincial cooperation that puts people before politics? Or will polarization leave hundreds of thousands still sleeping rough, waiting for someone's promise to come true? From what I've seen while filming in cities from Ottawa to Edmonton, the divide is growing wider. It's not just policy talk anymore. It's visible on every cold street where Canadians are still waiting for a home. When looking closely at Canada's homelessness crisis, it's impossible to separate it from the deep ties to mental health and addiction. Roughly 53% of people experiencing homelessness report struggling with conditions like anxiety, depression, or trauma-related disorders. Nearly 45% also grapple with substance use, not as a matter of choice, but as a way to cope with the pain and instability of life on the margins. This overlap, known as a dual diagnosis, forms a vicious cycle in which each problem fuels the other, making recovery an uphill battle. In recent years, Canada has leaned into a harm reduction model, setting itself apart from the more punitive approaches often seen in homeless in America cases. One of the most debated strategies is the Safer Supply program, which provides pharmaceutical-grade alternatives to street drugs such as fentanyl. Instead of forcing individuals to endure dangerous withdrawals or turn to unregulated, often toxic street substances, medical teams now offer controlled doses of hydromorphone and similar medications under supervision. The idea isn't just to reduce harm, but to stabilize lives, creating a bridge toward treatment, housing, and long-term care. Though controversial, this method has shown promising results. It has lowered emergency room visits, improved access to health services, and provided more consistent contact with outreach programs that connect people to housing and mental health resources. At the same time, Canada's Housing First model, which treats stable housing as the foundation for recovery rather than the reward for it, continues to expand. Programs in Ontario and Alberta report that more than 70% of participants remain housed after 2 years, with significant improvements in mental well-being and fewer hospital visits. By addressing addiction as a health issue rather than a crime, Canada is charting a more humane and arguably more effective course forward. Yet it also forces a deeper question. In a nation where thousands still live without shelter, what does it truly mean to offer recovery and dignity to those most in need? Education remains one of the most powerful tools in tackling homelessness and its underlying causes. Community outreach, peer-led support networks, and mental health awareness campaigns can go a long way in breaking the stigma surrounding life without stable housing. In Calgary, for example, a new mobile mental health unit has completed more than 4,000 service visits since its launch in late 2023, meeting people where they are, whether in shelters or encampments. On a national scale, the federal government has pledged more than $200 million in targeted mental health funding for urban centers hit hardest by homelessness, with provincial governments stepping up to match those efforts. Still, real progress depends on one key principle: integration. Housing, addiction treatment, mental health care, and job training must work hand in hand, not as isolated services. Research shows that when vocational training is added to Housing First programs, participants' employment rates rise by nearly 30% within just 1 year. This integrated approach not only lowers the chance of people falling back into homelessness, but also strengthens the social fabric of entire communities. In this section, we've explored how Canada is addressing the intertwined challenges of addiction and mental health within its homelessness crisis. Next, we'll turn to the United States, looking at how New York City, Los Angeles, and Kensington have responded to similar struggles, and what lessons might cross the border. Vancouver has long been seen as Canada's most progressive and compassionate city when it comes to social services. Its mild climate, steady flow of public funding, and extensive harm reduction network make it a magnet for those seeking support while experiencing homelessness. Yet, this reputation has created a painful paradox. The more Vancouver invests, the more its resources are stretched to the limit. As of early 2025, the city counts more than 4,800 unhoused residents, a number that has climbed steadily for 5 years despite hundreds of millions of dollars in new spending. The downtown east side, once a few struggling blocks, has now become a vast and visible symbol of the crisis. Rows of tents, makeshift shelters, and a patchwork of social workers, police officers, volunteers, and people simply trying to survive. Vancouver has fully embraced Housing First and harm reduction strategies, including safe supply programs and supervised consumption sites. Yet, critics argue that these policies often focus on keeping people alive rather than helping them rebuild their lives. Zoning restrictions, delayed construction projects, and community opposition have all slowed the creation of affordable housing. In many ways, Vancouver mirrors Canada's broader struggle, a city with compassion in its heart, but tied down by bureaucracy, politics, and limited capacity. When the topic of homelessness comes up, safety almost always enters the conversation, sometimes with compassion, but often through oversimplified assumption. In Vancouver, as in many urban centers, a growing debate is unfolding. Are rising crime rates actually caused by homelessness, or is the reality far more complex? The truth is, most people experiencing homelessness are not committing crimes. They are far more likely to be victims of them. Yet, public fear tends to focus on what's visible: open drug use, property damage, or moments of tension in crowded areas. According to the Vancouver Police Department, 2024 saw a 17% rise in reports of incidents linked to homelessness. But when the numbers are unpacked, the majority of these cases turn out to be nonviolent. Things like noise complaints or disputes within encampments. This invites an uncomfortable but necessary question. Are we labeling poverty and desperation as crime simply because we can see them? Many residents living near the downtown east side have voiced legitimate safety concerns, and local shop owners have called for stronger enforcement. Meanwhile, advocacy groups insist that the answer lies not in crackdowns, but in compassion, through outreach, housing, and access to care. In response, Vancouver has tried to balance both sides, pairing police patrols with teams of social workers and health professionals to intervene before situations spiral. New pilot programs are also reimagining what safety can mean. The city has introduced community-based de-escalation teams that operate separately from law enforcement. Trained to resolve conflicts without force, these teams have already shown encouraging outcomes. Fewer arrests, more voluntary treatment referrals, and higher levels of public trust. So what if safety were redefined, not simply as the absence of crime, but as the presence of care, stability, and inclusion? In Vancouver's case, the path forward may depend on this shift. Replacing punishment with connection isn't just a policy choice. It's a rethinking of what public order truly means in a city where so many are still searching for a place to belong. Conclusion. The homelessness crisis in Canada is no longer confined to a few downtown blocks. It has become a national reckoning that mirrors deeper economic, political, and social shifts. Comparisons to cities facing severe emergencies, such as those seen in Homeless in America, can provide perspective, but they should also sound an alarm. What begins with soaring rents, untreated mental illness, and fragmented systems can quickly harden into long-term structural collapse if ignored. Canada still holds many of the right tools: a public healthcare system, a tradition of social welfare, and a population that overwhelmingly believes in compassion. Yet, without true coordination, a sense of urgency, and the courage to innovate, even these strengths may not be enough. The question now is whether Canada will act decisively before the crisis grows beyond control. Because in the end, a nation's greatness is not defined by how it rewards its most privileged citizens, but by how it protects those who have the least. The time to act with clarity, unity, and compassion is now.